Hey everyone, this is Sneha Kumari, your host from Offsite Dirt. Again, super thrilled to be collaborating with Offsite Dirt and bring forth another guest and another superb voice in lean in construction industry. Super excited to bring him to you all today. As always, I will be starting with an introduction. We'll go over some projects, and in the end, we'll share some key takeaways that you could actually take and use in your day-to-day life. That's exactly what I am here for. So join us. I'm not sure where you're joining us from, whether you're enjoying a cup of coffee or you're commuting or you're just watching because you love our show. I am thankful for all the viewers, and that keeps me motivated to bring all these voices to you. All right. So in this episode, I am actually bringing for you Felipe. And I came to know Felipe through LinkedIn, through one of my common connections. I actually was writing an article on lean, and I came across a lot of many leaders. First one was Felipe, and I am blown away, absolutely blown away with his content in lean construction. And it's very intentional. Like some of his content is something that I actually myself read and could do some exercises with it. So it's amazing. Truly, an inspiration and someone to learn from. And it's like I don't even know how long will it take for me to just keep talking about his introduction, because he has so many accomplishments under his belt. I'll start with a few, but I'll let him continue. He's an international keynote speaker. Can you believe that? I have an international keynote speaker on my show. I am so proud of myself. And an author of Construction Scrum. So he actually is an author of a real book on lean. So if you're listening, go ahead on Amazon and try and get your copy. He also is a registered Scrum trainer and have led tons of projects for thousands of billions of dollars. That's a massive scope to be actually leading lean for. And he is actually been associated with Lean Construction Institute, which is super close to my heart also, for some time now. And he's going to be chairman soon for the institute, which is amazing. So and also, by the way, before I forget, he owns his own show, EBFC Show. If you are a lean leader, you're already probably aware of the show. If you're not, I would highly recommend going on the show, because I myself have learned a lot from the show and from the speakers on the show. So all right, I'm done speaking. I already spoke for 3-4 minutes, so I'm gonna let Felipe start with his introduction. But thank you so much for coming on my show.
Sneha, thank you for having me come on your show. And it's an honor to be speaking with someone like yourself who's energetic and enthusiastic. It's not every day, that we find people like yourself reaching out and for people listening, like, yes, I'm gonna be the chairman of the Northern California Lean Construction Institute. And I volunteer with LCI all the time. And they even gave me an award to continue to encourage me. I got the chairman's award some years ago, and that was a cool surprise. That's just proof positive. I don't know how to say no. That's really what it boils down to. Like when people ask me, like when Sneha asked, "Will you be on my show?" and I was like, "Absolutely, yes, I'll be on your show."
Thank
I
you
didn't
so much. Honored.
didn't even hesitate. I did do some research. I dug into your LinkedIn profile to look back at like what kind of show do you have, what kind of people do you have, and so it's not an automatic yes, people. You got to actually have a show that gets
Thank
published with some regularity. So it's good.
you.
Yeah, happy to contribute. Yeah, so my background, electrical engineering is what I went to school for. I went into construction right away, and I got really turned off by the industry and almost burned out several times until I discovered lean construction about, oh wow, it's almost like 15 years ago. And when that happened, it just totally flipped a switch on me, transformed the way that I work, and it transformed the projects that I was working on so significantly that I started getting involved with LCI and fell into this network of people that I now lovingly called change makers, people working to make change individually or at their projects across the world. And that's what's taken me from just doing and being on one job to helping influence and give content away, like Sneha said correctly. I'm putting out content daily to help inspire people to have similar types of experiences like myself, if you want to. if you want to have a project that crashes and burns, then just go ahead and keep doing the same things. But if you want to actually make a change, you can. And it doesn't matter what your title is, you can become a change maker on your project. It doesn't take that much. You just need one of the first things I'm going to say is I'm very, my friend said this morning, I was on another podcast and he said, "You're quite disciplined." And I said, "That's what you say. But in my own house, they say I'm quite stubborn. I'm very stubborn to what I think is possible. And one of my philosophies is that things can get better. I believe that we can make things better and that you have the power to make it better. You might not have the knowledge to do it, but you definitely have the power. And with just a little bit of knowledge, a little bit of studying, you can make change happen at a very big level." So yeah, that's probably enough about me. Yes, I have a podcast, the EBFC Show, the easier, better for construction podcast, which comes out every 2 weeks. I have a new show coming out this Wednesday, and we're in the middle of October with Victor Ortiz, and he is one of the early pioneers that influenced the people that eventually started the Lean Construction Institute. So definitely check out that show when you're watching this. Come find my name. And if you can't, just direct message me. And like Sneha knows, I will respond to your DMs and reply. It's actually me. It's not a robot, and it's not staff. It's just me. I respond to all my comments, all my DMs. It might not be within 5 minutes, but it'll eventually I'll get you.
Yep, I can totally vouch for that. When I reached out to Felipe, I was like, he's already a pretty popular leader in Lean. I'm not sure how long will it take for him to respond, and will he even respond? Will he even agree? Because I'm pretty new with my show, but he did, and we had to reschedule because I missed the first one. But I'm so glad. I'm so glad. So yes, absolutely. I think if you are looking for connecting, I know I can vouch for that. That he responds and responds pretty fast. Given that you have thousands of followers, I'm pretty sure you're getting tons of DMs every day. That means
Every
something.
day. Yeah, I spent 30 minutes this morning just responding to DMs.
So
So it's not the first thing I do in the morning because I've got some good habits to be productive, but I do make time every day to respond to people because I always see, when people are reaching out, they have a need. And when I needed help early in my career, somebody actually helped me and it made such a huge difference. So if I can be that person for somebody else, it's just one way for me to give back. Like my mentor, Jeff Sutherland, says, you've got to just get started. And if you want to make a difference in somebody, you never know, just share a story or something from LinkedIn if you want, if you feel comfortable, or, it's not going to kill you people that are engaging with this content to give a like to this podcast and to reshare it with your friends. If you're getting value from this, I highly recommend you send it to at least one other person to watch. I just got a podcast recommendation from a friend this weekend for a show to check out, and I did. And I'm listening to the show now as I'm getting through the week, and it is making a difference even for me. So I'm proof positive, an experiment of one person, that learning is beneficial.
always, always, and especially listening from leaders from their first-hand experiences. So thank you. I am super intrigued to learn more from you through this episode. And based on what you just said, I think I'll probably be connecting with you more and more just to talk to you. I think it's going to be a lot more valuable for me, especially with my experience and starting in this industry. All right, let's get into my next question, which is pretty much what I ask my most of my guests. I want to share one unique one that project. I'm sure you've had many such experiences, but one unique lean project that you would like to share with our audiences from your experience that could add some value to their day-to-day lean experiences, or as you said, making some change in their workplaces.
Yeah, so I have a project in mind, and I recently spoke about this project at a conference a month ago. And the gist of it is, at the Bolt company where I work every day, the main focus at Bolt is we want to be innovative. We value, not we want, but we actually do value employees' experiences even above the customer, because we believe our philosophy is that if we take care of our employees, the customer will then be taken care of, and some other things. And so I love that about the company. And that's why I'm here. And we try, and this is try is the real word, we try to implement lean across all projects regardless of contract type. And so one particular job that I got involved with last year was a traditional design bid, hard bid, build contract, and a very high profile project in the South. It was in the state of Oklahoma. And this particular project was very high profile. It's in the press and the news all the time. And the project is called the Blessed Stanley Rother Shrine. And it's like a cathedral style, like, in the US, church, place of worship for a saint that recently, for a person, Henry Rother, that recently became, I believe, became sainted. And if I'm wrong, don't hate me in the comments. The main focus of my engagement in the job is construction and not the client's day to day stuff, which in this case is the Catholic Church. So this project was, and multiple architects involved, multiple design. When I say multiple, I don't mean just people. I mean different architecture companies, and of course, like all current projects in the U.S. today, multiple disciplines like different structural engineering companies, different specialties for facade, and we were acting as kind of like a construction manager at risk, very traditional type of contract style, the guaranteed maximum price. Anyway, long story short, I had become aware that the project is they're having to deal with a lot of change. And not everybody always has a good process for how to deal with the change. And the changes were starting to impact their ability to have confidence in the client that they were going to finish on time. And so I went to go visit the project, and we determined with the project team that they were very likely on a path to finishing the project about half a year later than originally contracted. Now, for a lot of people listening, you're like, half a year later, half a year late. This project total construction time was, I think, roughly 4 years, just shy of 4 years total, design and construction, and including land procurement, all that good stuff. 6 months on a 4 year total duration. Not crazy bad, but not good either. Not good either. And at the time, the team was feeling bad because they thought they were underperforming. In reality, they were absorbing 2 to 6 design changes per week, which for anyone being on a construction project, like, that's a lot. That's a lot for anybody. And
Wow.
especially on that type of project. And that's one of the things that happens when you have designers. I think this is very common when you have designers that are not from the local area. When they start engaging with the local authorities having jurisdiction, there's things unique to building codes that are going to cause a cascade of changes, in addition to the client changing their mind on certain finish levels and how things are coming together and product selections, and coupled to the fact that we don't build churches every day. I mean, some contractors do build churches every day, but churches are not built every day like office buildings.
Mhm.
And so that's additional complexity. So project's about 6 months late, and the time that I get there, it's about 90 days until turnover. And so we're realizing we're not going to make it, right? And by this point, they're already working overtime, like all the time. It's overtime, multiple trades, and it's not making a difference. And one of the things that I bring from my learning for the listeners, everybody listening, in software development in the software industry, there's this concept called um, Brooks Law. Brooks Law. And Brooks Law says that adding more software developers to a project that's already late only makes it later. And that same, I'd see it more as a psychological phenomenon with human beings. In construction, every project I've seen, without exception, in 30 years of being in the industry, when teams get behind schedule, one of the first things that leadership does is they want to spend money on overtime and add more people. And 10 out of 10 times that doesn't work, but people still do it because everybody thinks it shows that you're doing something. But what we did instead on this project, as I said, I'm going to tell you that you don't need to continue to spend overtime dollars, but you're not going to believe me. So what I told the project leaders and the executive, I said, you won't believe me, but spending more overtime is not going to get you there. And I was like, just look at the last 30 days. The last 30 days, you spent overtime with almost all trades, and you've not made up any scheduled time at all. What we can do is change the process. If we change the process, we can dramatically change the throughput of this job. So we stopped doing what I call lean marketing, which was making it look like we're doing lean. And a lot of people do this not because they're trying to, like, not be honest. Lean marketing is all they know. They've only been taught lean marketing, and they haven't had a chance for a deeper dive. And so some of the staff was new and to our company, and some of the staff was transplanted from somewhere else. The staff that started the job was not the current staff on the job for the most part.
Mm.
And so I said, let's just step back. We walked the site. So anybody listening, one of the first things you want to do when you're working with a team where there are challenges is don't stay in the conference room. Don't stay in the trailer. Go walk the site. And when we walk the site, you're walking with intention. You're just not walking like a tourist. We were walking with an eye of following what they thought the schedule and sequence was. And so I asked the leaders, just walk me through this as if, I'm going to be working on the site. What's happening now and what's coming up? And so we walked the site with that intention. It took like 30 minutes. That's all. Then we come back in and I said, okay, what I saw in the site, what did you see? I said, I have some observations. You have some observations. Let me hear yours first. Now that we walked the site together and I was asking questions as we walked, I said, what do you see are some challenges in the current conditions? And they raised some things. And some of the things that they said is exactly what I was going to say. And then I didn't say anything. I just took what they said. I was like, that's good enough. So they said something about the difficulty to access the building. I was like, hell yeah, that's a problem. I was like, let's just focus on that. And they were like, what? All the things you saw, that's all? I was like, yep, that's it. I was like, let's just only focus on how people access the site. And they were like, why just that? I said, that's a great question. The reason is when you're going to create a change, oftentimes you have to give something to get something. And it's a lot of people always try to pile on more and to make people work harder. And we already know from Brooks' Law that that's not the solution. That doesn't work. I was like, what's something we can take away or what's something we can make easier, which is like the whole catchphrase of my podcast, easier, better for construction. The first thing to do is to make the work easier. If we change the site access to the building and make it easier for all the workers, that when we go to institute a change, the workers will be more open to doing something different because we gave them something first, easier site access. And so that's what they did. They did easier site access. And then from there, we eventually got into a Scrum and TACT schedule implementation, which is very common in manufacturing to use TACT time for running, full assembly lines and flows. But
Yep.
we adopt this and use this in construction. And what happened as a result of that is that we got to drink at work. We got to actually do shots with the owner. It's a true story. So the
Awesome.
the schedule got so much better when we implemented TACT, and we used a
Wow.
low tech implementation. Started on a whiteboard and colored some logistics drawings, and eventually we moved into some software. But we started just super low tech just to communicate, and then from that, the client realized that we had accelerated so fast without spending extra money on overtime or more crews. And there are no more crews. Like the market is tapped. There are no more crews to have. You contact any project now and you say, like, could we double all the crews across the entire project? The answer is no, we can't. The people are already working somewhere. There are no extra people.
Mhm.
And so we were able to dramatically increase the throughput by only changing a couple process steps. We went to smaller batches on some of the crews, and we prioritized some of the key trades through the building. And with that, the owner recognized within 30 days later, they said, this project is totally transformed. Something is different. And I've only been there to this point one time. This is my second time there. Maybe my third time was when we actually had the shots. So my third time there, we had the shots and the client said, can you explain what you did differently to get this type of result? And so we just had a conversation in 10 minutes and explained what the change was. And then that's when the client reached into their laptop bag and pulled out a bottle of bourbon. I think it was bourbon. I don't remember what it was. We drank it out of coffee cups, and it was after 5 o'clock, people, and the site was closed, and we were in the trailer, and we did, we took a couple drinks together and had a conversation about what changes that we make and what is the underlying philosophy to make those changes. And one of them is a prioritization of flow instead of maximizing resource efficiency, which is the predominant type of thinking in the United States. And the United States has done a terrible job, a great job of exporting our nonsense ideas across the planet. So everywhere I've gone internationally, I see people maximizing resource utilization, which means if I have people or equipment I want to have them operating at nearly 100% all the time. And that is detrimental to your project and your flow. If you prioritize flow ahead of all things, you might have people and equipment sitting idle at times doing nothing, but the throughput can be 2, 3, 4, 5, 10, 15, 25, 30 times faster than when you have all things being utilized at 100%. Super counterintuitive, and people will fight you on this idea all the time. So this might not be the first thing that you want to take away from this conversation, because it does run against the prevailing type of approach on projects. So we prioritize flow, we dramatically increase the throughput. The owner gave an extension to the team, so they got a time extension, and they finished. And I saw the pictures online of the opening ceremony as planned, and with happy smiling faces. I think something like 20,000 people came to the opening ceremonies on that site when it opened up. So crazy good success, very simple processes. And with the team I was coaching, I was using the Toyota improvement kata in how I was engaging with the team. And we were running only one single experiment at a time. And that all happened over the course of 4 visits, lasting anywhere from 1 hour to 4 hours.
Love it. Love it. Wow, that was a huge project that you just talked about, and some of the power words that you just threw out there blew my mind. I love it, especially you talking about flow. Flow is key. Something that I also has been utilizing a lot. Training also with the customers I get to work with, and cannot stress more about the importance of streamlining that first, then getting into seeing what can you maximize, minimize, software implementation, all of that jazz. But first try and understand how that flow can change. That removes the burden from the doers a lot,
Right.
and helps like immediately, and also see immediate results, which is very gratifying, right? Especially for people running the businesses. So thank you, amazing example. You pretty much shared everything. It's hard for me to actually poke you more, because I also want to
Yeah.
get to a couple more questions. But really quick, just before, like, one question that I've been curious about. So when you were doing, like, when you were making the changes, when you were doing the training, anything that stood out um, to you in terms of, like, okay, you saying this or doing this actually immediately, not immediately, but really crucially impacted people's minds, like the doers' minds, in adopting the change? Because that's been a struggle. Me myself as a lean leader, like you can get the executive team ready. They are not doing the job. The people doing the job need to be ready and be knowing that, okay, this change is actually going to help me go back home on time and spend some time with my family. Like,
Right.
getting them to buy, what was that? Like, give us one or two nuggets there.
Yeah. So number one, I never asked the executive team for permission to do what we did. Zero. At no time did I say we need their help.
Mm-hmm.
So within the project, as a system now, the team on the site owns how the project gets done. And if they need something from leadership, they can definitely ask, and the door is open to ask. Like, that's always possible. But we didn't have to ask the executives, like, hey, do we need permission to get here? I literally called the project director, project executive, and I said, I'd like to come to this job to visit it, just to understand what's happening. I think maybe I can help, maybe I can be helpful, maybe not. That's
Mm-hmm.
what I said.
Mm-hmm.
And he was like, the door's wide open for you. Come on over. And so that's how we started. And now, as far as with the team, I did zero PowerPoint presentation, zero classroom style teaching.
Teaching. Mm-hmm.
It was learning by doing. So I would ask them questions to understand what is their thinking about a certain concept, like prioritizing and small batching. And then based on their responses, I would give I would do a quick example to show, based on those responses, what we were going to do different and what the outcome was. And then I would hand them a marker or a pencil